Hello, everyone, and welcome to the last week, week 5 of BA320. It has been a great class so far, and hopefully, you have all learned lots of useful information. And you can go out there and be kings of investment, or kings or queens of investment, and make tons and tons of money and retirement and retire to a private island. That'd be awesome. If not, hopefully, you can at least take something from this class to boost your 401k or your stock options or different things like that. Lots of different things you can learn from this class. So hopefully you're all able to learn something that you'll be able to apply in your investment futures as you are going forward. So as I mentioned, this is week 5. It is the final week of class, and I want to thank everyone for the great class that we have had so far. I have really enjoyed teaching it and the interactions that I've had with everyone. This week we will have a little bit less to do, which is nice. So if you're behind on homework, hopefully you'll be able to get caught up. This week you don't have a full week. Things will end on Friday and everything is due by Friday. By Friday at 11:59. If it is 12:01, I cannot accept it. I have a strict deadline, so please don't put me or yourself in that situation. Set a goal of having it done by Thursday or Friday by 10 o'clock, something like that, just so you are not waiting until the very last minute and then have computer problems or your internet go out or anything like that. I've seen lots of different things happen, and I hate to see that. So please don't put yourself in that situation. So let's talk a little bit about this week, what is due. So you're going to have your discussion question, your lecture response, and an exam. We'll go through each of those as we do every week. The lecture response, or excuse me, not the lecture response, the discussion question. I actually really enjoy this one. Mutual funds is what we'll be talking about. So it says, after learning about mutual funds, could you make an argument that everyone should simply invest in mutual funds and leave everything else alone? So then defend your position. Mutual funds are a great tool to use. I don't think a lot of people know about mutual funds when they first started investing. I know I didn't. We've talked about stocks and bonds, and those are the main things that I had heard about before I started learning how to invest a little bit and taking classes. But mutual funds are a great way to be diversified without a lot of money. So you're reading in the book, and towards the back of the book at page, I think it's 609. Let's see, 609 if you want to turn there. You'll see it talks about a mutual fund. So it says that a mutual fund is an investment company that sells shares and uses the proceeds to manage a portfolio of securities. So, as you know, when anybody manages your money, they're going to take a small fee, sometimes a large fee. Fees are huge. If I could give you one piece of advice when you go out there, if you hire somebody to do your investments for you, see what their fees are. You will be amazed at how high some of the fees are sometimes. You have to make a huge return just to cover their fees. So it says that mutual funds have grown substantially in recent years, and they serve as major suppliers for funds of the financial market. So then about halfway down the page, it talks about that. A mutual fund may have as many as 50 or more securities. So you might have a mutual fund that invests in the energy sector, and they might have shares throughout dozens of different companies. And why do they do that? To be diversified. If one of those companies falls off, the other ones won't, so you're not going to lose all of your money. Yes, your mutual fund is going to lose a little bit, but it's not going to lose everything. The other advantage about mutual funds is they generally do not require a huge investment up front. As I mentioned, when I started mine, I think I had to put in, I think it was $100 minimum. That was a long time ago. But I think that's what it was now. A lot of them require around, say, $250, I think is kind of the going amount. But if you invest $250, you might be invested in a couple dozen different companies. So you are very well diversified. So there are pros and cons to that, as I talked about. Maybe you're really good at picking stocks. Maybe you like to do the research and do your own analysis. You could probably get a higher return. So maybe that's the route you should go. Maybe you're a set it and forget it type person. You just want to invest every month. You set it up to have $100 taking out of your checking account, or excuse me, out of your paycheck every 2 weeks. Goes into the mutual fund. You're happy with that, and that's what you're going to plan on your investment strategy being. If you don't have a lot of time or resources, that might work for you as well. But there are a lot of pros and cons to mutual funds. So as you go through, look at that. Don't just go out and say, I think mutual funds are the best thing ever, and here is why. Maybe try to give a pro and a con as well. Maybe talk about a couple of drawbacks, because if you only see the bright side of things, you're never going to or you're going to be surprised when the negative side pops up. You're never going to be expecting that. You're never going to be prepared. So try to look at the pros and cons of this as you're going through it and defend your position. I'm not saying you have to be Switzerland and be neutral, and I'm not saying you have to go really deep into the good and really deep into the bad, but you need to pick one or the other and defend your position, but try to look at it from both sides. If you want to go with the positive, that's fine, but throw in a couple of drawbacks as well to make sure that you're seeing the big picture. I just want to make sure that you're understanding the concept and everything that goes into it. So in here it says to get full points for the discussion, you need to cite the reference on your first post. So if you go out and you do research and you say, this is what I read about with mutual funds, give credit where credit is due. Don't just take somebody else's work. Be sure to cite your work on that. And again, the initial post needs to be done by Wednesday, 70 to 100 words to get full credit. And then your 2 responses need to be done by Friday night. So again, it doesn't go through Sunday this week. Friday night, it has to be done. And you need to have those 30 words, 2 to 3 sentences, whatever you want. Just make sure that it has some substance there behind it to back it up. So that is the discussion question. Next, your lecture response. 150 words about what you learned while watching this, what the class is, what the last week is going to cover. And then last but not least is your final exam. So your final exam, again, please don't wait until Friday night at 11:30 to do that. Try to do that earlier in the week if you can, just to make sure that you have the full allotted time to take it and to get the best grade possible. As you can see, there are no papers due this week. So again, if you were behind, this is a great time to catch up. Hopefully you're all caught up and you don't have to worry about that. But if you are not, now is the time to do it because I cannot accept anything late. And as you're going through this, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. This will be a little bit of a shorter lecture tonight just because we don't have a paper to go over and to dig into. So please let me know if you have any questions. And again, I want to say thank you for the great class, for the discussions, for the great papers that I have read. I've really enjoyed it. And I want to wish you all best luck in your future endeavors and future classes. If you are going into business, odds are I will probably see you again in a future class. So I would love to do that. I love having repeat students. And if you have any feedback about the course, things that you liked or things that you disliked, and you would like to reach out to either myself or the school, that would be great. We're always looking for ways to improve or to hear about things that we are doing well. It just helps us make these courses better for future students as well. So again, thank you very much for the great class, and good luck with everything else that you are going to face with throughout the rest of your academic career.